Hi, I'm August Keller, and this is my review of Death of a Unicorn. So, first and foremost, this movie is social commentary. It has a high concept, a very fitting high concept that uses a lot of genre bending, but it's all used to mine social commentary. It satirizes classism, exploitation, and humankind's relationship with nature. Those seem to be the core themes. There's a lot of dark humor. It's consistent throughout via quippy dialogue and well-calibrated performances. I think everyone knows the tone they're hitting, and they hit it well. There are a lot of turning points early on that keep the plot moving and keep it interesting. It has setup and payoff, genre bending, like I said, genre blending, and motivated characters. It's all pretty intuitive, but the script does kind of run out of steam after a while. It really is writing a premise, and eventually the premise kind of can only carry it so far. But even though it does stagnate once all the mysteries are unveiled, I do think there's this arc at the end, that character arc that is, that really kind of revives the narrative and really kind of brings it all together. And also the acting, I think, maximizes the material with chemistry and dry wit and good amount of range. Some people might find the protagonists bland or, standard, and the messages can be a bit one note, but I think Death of a Unicorn delivers a lot of substance through an entertaining frame, like a framework. Technically, I think Death of a Unicorn doesn't have the most style, but it does unify a lot of contrasting tones. Like I said, it's social commentary. It's like this dark humor first, and does have horror elements. And, humor and horror can be hard to marry, but I think this movie does it well. The horror is really just kind of there to accentuate the humor. It's humor first. But anyways, the cinematography, I think sometimes gets a little overly dark and a little drab even at times, but it does keep up some decent variety. There's focus and movement and a few interesting uses of lighting, and I think there's at least one really showy oneer. Not really showy, but showy. So it's the cinematography isn't bad. I could have used more. The editing struggles with momentum. Like I said, I think the movie kind of starts to run out of steam after the first act. Kind of gets a little repetitive, but it's a tight runtime, and there's a lot of mini montages and pace shifts with action. So the editing isn't bad. It's just, again, could have been a little better. Those are definitely like the weaker points of the text. The sound is strong. It has a lot of genre elements. I especially like the monster calls. I found them to be pretty flavorful. And there's a lot of subjective distortions, and there's a good amount of smash cuts too that I think help. The music has this kind of ethereal personality with like techno scoring and these diegetic needle drops. And I really like the end credits song. I think that really ties everything together. The production design establishes this very thematic setting. The setting really conveys classism, environmentalism at the same time. And also the creatures, I think, it's a creature feature, and the creatures are kind of important, how they look, and I think they are good. They're kind of the defining quality of this movie. The cast, I think, is very good, great even. It has a good combination of fame, depth. I think, it's nice to see the supporters be good actors too, well-known actors. Everyone's got good fit, and I think there's a good amount of diversity too. Not the most diversity, but a moderate amount. And again, I really do like the fit. I think this is a good role for someone like Paul Rudd, and Ortega as well. I think this is a good role for her. I think from the effects, I think the CGI can be a little spotty. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it wasn't very convincing. But there's a lot of practical effects too that I found refreshing. So all that kind of combines for a satisfying amount of gore. I mean, not a whole lot, but horror fans I think should leave satisfied. So yeah, ultimately I think Death of a Unicorn could have been more developed. I think it could have had a little more character work, made them a little more fleshed out, or maybe had some more flashy text. Maybe gone in a few more unexpected directions plot wise. But all that said, I think it does accomplish a respectable amount. I think it makes its themes clear. It puts important ideas into a entertaining premise, and the premise isn't that done. So yeah, I liked it, and I don't think it's the best movie ever. I don't think it's a must see, but I would say if you're interested, go for it. I definitely wouldn't turn anyone away from seeing it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. If you like what I'm doing here, please feel free to like and subscribe. I also have an Instagram linked in the description. I'd love support there or here, but at the very least, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye.